Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today's issue of the Neepawa Banner and Press is for Friday, April 4th, 2025. Neepawa man elected Bishop of Saskatoon by Joshua Jackson. Reverend Chad McCharles. A beloved Neepawa reverend is leaving the community for a higher calling to serve in Saskatchewan. Reverend Chad McCharles was recently elected as Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Saskatoon and is departing the community to perform his obligation. Reverend McCharles said he began his journey in ministry in 2006, just 5 days after his daughter Amy was born. My wife Dawn and I left our life in Brandon, the bakery business we operated with her parents, our home, and everything we owned, along with our 2-year-old son Jacob, and moved to Winnipeg to attend St. John's Anglican Seminary at the University of Manitoba. In 2008, I was ordained a transitional deacon just before taking up the challenge of being the rector of the 5 Point Prairie Mountain Parish, which consisted of Neepawa, Minnedosa, Bethany, Gladstone, and Kelwood, which I served for 5 years. Reverend McCharles would then move on to serve other parishes, but returned to Neepawa to help launch the Neepawa United Anglican Shared Ministry, NUASM, in 2020, which he saw as one of the highlights of his time here in Neepawa. Reverend Chad McCharles said the two churches has come together not only out of necessity, but because both congregations felt a calling to live into the calling of Christ, to unite and work together as witnesses to the good news of the gospel. The ecumenical, representing several different Christian churches, faith family, is a shining example of how to pool resources, work together, sacrifice, and serve, and devote time, treasure, and talent to the building up of God's church by loving the community around them, said Reverend McCharles. Being amid the NUASM as they choose to see the common ground between them rather than the chasm of difference has inspired and shaped me immeasurably and will be carried with me for the rest of my life. 14th elected bishop. On March 8th, Reverend McCharles would receive some life-altering news. The Diocese of Saskatoon convened for an electoral synod, a gathering containing all of the diocese clergy and elected delegates from each parish, to elect their 14th bishop since the diocese's 1933 inception. The Reverend noted to elect a bishop. A candidate must secure a majority of votes from the clergy and laity. I was elected on the first ballot, which is very rare because typically Episcopal elections take multiple ballots to achieve an election, said the new bishop-elect. As any Anglican bishop does, the Bishop of Saskatoon is a clergy person ranking above a priest, having authority to ordain and confirm and typically govern a diocese. The Diocese of Saskatoon, where Reverend McCharles will be serving, is a geographical area spanning the width of the province of Saskatchewan from just north of Prince Albert to somewhere between the cities of Saskatoon and Regina. Part of his job involves a lot of travel within the diocese and throughout Canada to House of Bishop meetings, regional meetings, and synods. The bishop-elect outlined what he hopes to accomplish during his tenure as bishop. I pray that as the Bishop of Saskatoon, my ministry will foster a deepening of relationships between diverse groups within the diocese by building bridges of peace, emphasizing a recognition of and appreciation for what we hold is in common rather than how we differ, said Reverend McCharles. I want to make space to share and accept the treasures we all hold dear and have to offer one another to enrich our common life and prayer in the church. As Reverend McCharles prepares to leave town for his new position, he took time to reflect and concludes that living in Neepawa has been one of the greatest joys of his life. Raising our family here will be a treasure that will enrich our clan for generations because of the generosity and care we have received and given the chance to share while here, he said. To call one of the most beautiful and unique historical homes in Neepawa our home was icing on the cake. Reverend McCharles believes the faith family of NUASM is strengthened through its commitment to faith and fellowship, and it will hold them secure during the upcoming time of vacancy while they search for their next minister. I have every confidence in their ability to continue the ministry of love shaped by their mission and outreach, worship, and friendships, he said. Bringing together two congregations of the same denomination is challenging enough, but the good people of NUASM have done it with dignity and grace because of their desire to follow God faithfully, no matter what is asked of them. And community fixture for all to use. Dream Ride and Partners raising funds for Pocket Park by Casper Warren. A portion of the empty lot beside Gillen Small in Neepawa will become the home of a new community space in the near future, and it's pictured here. A pocket-sized addition will be made to Neepawa's downtown in the near future. Officially dubbed the Gillen Small Dream Ride Park, the pending project is a wheelchair and walking aid accessible pocket park. The pocket park will be a community space located in the partial lot beside Gillen Small, located on Main Street. A lasting monument, this pocket park is something nice for the community. People have been so great with supporting the Dream Ride, so we, Gary and I, wanted to put something in our community for all to use, said Marcia Forg, who co-organizes Dream Ride with her husband, Gary Forg. We're very excited. This has been in the works since last summer, so it's an idea that's coming to life now. Marcia added that the early response has been positive, stating there's been a lot of people happy that this is happening. The land for the pocket park is being provided by project partner Don Small of Gillen Small. Small owns the aforementioned lot and was approached by the Forgs last year to share their pitch. Gary and Marcia have done a lot of work on Dream Ride for a number of years. I think it's something that is important for our community. This park will probably give it more visibility, and it's also something that will be a lasting monument for the community. And we're hoping that the people in the community will use it, said Small. You need park-like settings even in the downtown areas of communities so that people can come downtown and enjoy the downtown area. Due to cost and other considerations, the land will not be subdivided or change ownership. That gets a little complicated, so our purpose is just to dedicate it to a park, and we'll leave it as a park forever and a day, said Small enthused. An official blueprint for the layout could not be shared at this time. However, it is currently planned that the pocket park will be built to use approximately 1/3 of the available space. Additionally, it is expected to have inclusive seating and some flower beds. The Dream Ride bench made during the last year's RAFT event at Arts Forward will also be a fixture. Landscaping to prepare the lot for this development was completed courtesy of Gillen Small last fall. Arts Forward, which was also approached for this project, will be lending valuable volunteer hours to help prepare the park. The Neepawa Banner and Press had the opportunity to speak with Yvonne Sisley, who spoke on behalf of the Arts and Culture Center. I think this is a fabulous way of turning a blank space that was just basically weeds prior to the landscaping into something that's a useful area in town, Sisley enthused. Sisley, who has worked with the Forgs on numerous occasions in the past, noted that the decision to get on board was easily made. It's Marcia and Gary, Sisley enthused, adding, Dream Ride is near and dear to their heart. They came up with it, and they've raised a ton of money for special needs and kids going through stuff. I don't think you can say enough about them. They are selfless people who, through everything they do, they are looking at how they can support and help others. So for me, it was a pretty easy yes when Marcia was talking to me. I was 100% on board, not just with Arts Forward, but also with being a member of Town Council. Sisley also stressed that this is a project with several partners who are supporting it in a variety of ways. Thanks is given to each of them for their aid in bringing this idea closer to fruition. How to support the park? The next step for those involved is to raise funds to cover the cost of materials and construction for the park's surfacing and amenities. This has taken the form of a Krispy Kreme donut sale fundraiser, which is currently underway. This is a split fundraiser which will benefit both the Pocket Park as well as funding for events and programming hosted by Arts Forward. Those looking to monetarily support this fundraising initiative and enjoy a tasty treat while doing so can reach out to Yvonne Sisley at Arts Forward, Marcia Forg, 204-841-2-something-51, or Gary Forg at 204-740-0166 to place their orders. Orders must be in by April 26. Orders will be in Neepawa for pickup from Arts Forward on May 10th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And moving along. Practical nursing will continue in Neepawa. Assiniboine College confirms programs return in early 2027 by Owen Devereaux. On Thursday, March 27th, Assiniboine College announced that its practical nursing diploma program will return to Neepawa in January of 2027. This is a 2-year program that prepares people to be a licensed practical nurse, LPN, who can provide care in hospitals and personal care homes. This will be the second time this course will be taught in Neepawa, as the inaugural program launched back in early 2024. It is located in the former RCMP building at 239 Mill Street, which underwent a multi-million-dollar renovation to accommodate the college program. In the media release announcing the return to Neepawa, along with the establishment of a new course in Steinbach, Assiniboine President Mark Friesen spoke highly of both communities. Every year, we are proud to offer our practical nursing program in many communities across Manitoba. Rural sites, like those in Steinbach and Neepawa, are integral to our mission to meet provincial and regional healthcare needs, said Friesen. We're looking forward to bringing this program to those in the Steinbach area and back to Neepawa, both growing communities with growing healthcare needs. Practical nursing is Assiniboine's single largest program and is currently being delivered in 11 communities across Manitoba, which includes permanent sites in Brandon, Winnipeg, Dauphin, and Portage la Prairie. It's welcome news for Neepawa. Mayor Brian Headley noted that the town has been actively advocating for a second turn at hosting LPN training. He said receiving the confirmation that it will return is a true positive for the community. Assiniboine College's commitment to formally scheduling Neepawa as a part of the Rural Rotating Site program for January 27 is welcome news and an exciting positive step, said Headley. As for the 1-year hiatus in between the end of the current course, which is set for January 2026, and start of the new program, Headley indicated that they are working on a few ideas for the space. Although our advocacy efforts did not result in running a successive session, we are pleased to receive confirmation for January 2027 intake. With this confirmed, we have shifted our focus and have already started to explore potential short-term health workforce training opportunities that could be held in the Neepawa Training Center in between LPN sessions. Applications are currently open for both Steinbach and Neepawa. Those interested in more information about the program can visit assiniboine.net/nursing. And tariff uncertainty, a big topic at Neepawa meeting by Ken Waddell. And pictured Chuck Davison, President and CEO of the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce, met with the Neepawa Chamber members and local media outlets on March 31st. Monday, March 25th, was the selected day for a visit from Manitoba Chamber of Commerce. Chuck Davidson, President and CEO of the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce, MCC, spent a couple of hours in discussion with members of the Neepawa Chamber of Commerce. As can be readily guessed, the main topic was the effects of the U.S.-induced tariff war on Manitoba farms and businesses. Davidson had several points, including Trump-proofing Manitoba by eliminating interprovincial trade barriers. It's time to take down the barriers, said Davidson. He said we need to support Canadian steel, for one example. According to Davidson, Manitoba sends about $18 billion in goods to the U.S. and buys about $21 billion from the U.S. He emphasized that the Canadian-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement needs to be followed, and that would reduce the effects or tariffs. The agreement was actually negotiated by President Donald Trump in his first term. The meeting participant reps from the Neepawa chamber provided Davidson with several examples of how their respective sector might be affected by tariffs. Most felt that having Canada apply counter-tariffs would actually cost Canadians even more money. They said that prevailing mood of the Neepawa meeting was that they simply don't know what the tariffs will be or how they will be applied. Moving on to Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. Canada needs a leader who can build a bigger Canada. Conservative Party of Canada leader Pierre Poilievre is holding daily rallies across Canada. Attendance is over 2,500 at every one. According to reports, the rally in Winnipeg had 3,500 people attending. Ironically, or perhaps as expected, the Canadian Broadcast Corporation, CBC, is downplaying the numbers. In comparison, Mark Carney's rally in St. John's was reported to be around 1,650 by the Liberals, but the crowd photo looked to be less than 500. I say, as expected, the CBC is totally opposed to Poilievre as he has promised to cut funding to the CBC. I can agree with that as the CBC gets $1.3 billion each year from the federal government. Between the CBC and the Canada Postal System, the drain on taxpayers is over $2 billion per year with no end in sight. The CBC is so biased against the Conservative side and so cuddled up with the Liberal side that it's annoying to say the least. In the past few years, the Liberals have made a lot of errors in managing the COVID-19 pandemic. They committed about $50 billion into electric car battery plants, and they put a tariff on Chinese EVs when we don't even make EVs in Canada. The tariff triggered crippling tariffs against Canadian pork and canola. If you just review these few categories, you can see many reasons the Liberals should not be re-elected. Their policies have been not only misguided, they have been self-serving. Justin Trudeau got elected for two basic reasons. One, he promised to legalize marijuana and promised to talk nicer than Stephen Harper so as to attract voters that had a hate-on for Stephen Harper. I used to know Stephen Harper, having met and talked with him several times. His last campaign was not good as he let himself get into policy discussions that didn't even need to be discussed. For example, the face-covering controversy in Quebec. I attended the CPC annual convention after the Harper defeat, and there were a ton of angry people attending who had some choice words of criticism about the election handlers who steered Harper and the party into useless and silly debates. When Conservatives lose elections, it's usually because some folks who have never run in an election all of a sudden become experts in politics. Trust me when I say this, as I observed, ran in, or been involved in elections since 1967. When an election is imminent or called, the experts jump out of the weeds to start holding focus groups and reading polls to try and mold the party's platform into an often misguided estimation of what people want. I have seen some very dumb election policies and reimagined party logos to try and depict a mythical platform. I like the 2025 CPC motto of Canada's First for a Change, as it is meaningful and current. Liberals stopping oil pipelines and not pursuing liquid natural gas production certainly didn't put Canada first. The EV battery commitment didn't put Canada first, and placing tariffs on EV cars, if they stay in place, may be a disaster for Canada. Not really increasing the capacity for the Port of Churchill since it was built 90 years ago has been a big mistake. Not buying proper jet planes has been a mistake. Flying ancient helicopters is a mistake. The list goes on, and the mistakes haven't been only Liberal mistakes. As noted above, some have been CPC mistakes as well. In this election, the question is not who can best wrangle with President Donald Trump. It's who can best lead and develop Canada so we don't stay so dependent on the United States or be distracted by Trump. And a disclaimer, the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as the view of the newspaper staff. And Home Buddies by Rita Friesen. And this one's for me. Over the decades, I have created and assembled countless quilts, all sizes, crib, single, double, queen, and cuddle. My very first one was sewn out of Fortrell, the indestructible fabric of the late 60s and 70s. It was the perfect material to work with, enough stretch to make the corners meet. The backing is a cozy brush synthetic. Finished in the late 60s, that sucker is as good as new. I got better at sewing pieces together. There were some quilts that I pieced out of new, color-coordinated cotton percale that women of the church stitched and gifted to Bible school graduates. There were some I made for children, and then the grandchildren. One winter I'd stockpiled probably 6 or 7, and one set of granddaughters could tell me where the material had come from, which set had been used to make a duvet cover for whom, which fabric was a remnant of clothing I had made. When they left that weekend, all the quilts went with them. I often wonder if any of those are still in use. There was the year I had debated between tying a top or stitching it. Again, there were probably 5 or 6 finished quilts waiting for a home. I approached a family camp that provided counseling and safe space for any and all, and they were delighted to accept them. That was the year I sandwiched again 5 or 6, and the youth from our faith family and a couple of willing adults met for an afternoon of tying them, finishing them, and delivering them to a family resource center nearby. Those were fun ones, scraps that had been given to me, some with wildlife scenes, some simply very colorful. The most colorful one I pieced together was a kit that a family member dropped off for me to assemble. There were yellows and oranges and reds, prints and solid. It was magnificent, and now it honors the guest bedroom in their home. That was a puzzler for design. The first time we entered lockdown, I determined to empty the trunk of fabric, knowing that if anyone needed to tidy after me, they would simply discard the contents of the chest. So I sewed. Again, all sizes, all aesthetically appealing, again to friends and family, far and near. I so much enjoyed that project, for some of the backing was yardage that had been gifted to me by a beloved sister-in-law. This winter, I started from scratch. I chose material, I purchased material, I designed the pattern that I wanted. For the first time ever, I made a quilt for me. Every square is a night sky, lightning, stars, constellations, and snowflakes, and a silvery, glittery band borders each. It's my absolute favorite, or it wouldn't stay mine. This winter work resulted in one for a granddaughter, a great-granddaughter, and a grandson, and one more to gift. It's really not that I don't take care of myself or indulge my whims and wants. However, I have never before wanted a quilt, and never before have I been arrested by fabric design. It's all good. And Walking the Road of Disappointment, Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. One of the first lessons we learn in life is that everyone will disappoint us at least once, and we will do the same to them. Few people understood the truth of this statement, as well as Simon Peter, one of Jesus' closest and, up to the time of his betrayal, one of his most loyal disciples. But in one crisis moment, Peter's loyalty was tested and he failed miserably. St. Mark's Gospel, Mark 14:29-31, tells us the story. Jesus and his disciples were sharing their last meal together when he said something that shocked them all. "Tonight," he said, "I will be forsaken by all of you." "No way," they replied, with Peter's protest being the loudest. "I won't leave you," he asserted. "I am ready to follow you and die with you." Jesus sadly shook his head. "No, Peter, that isn't going to happen. In fact, before sunrise tomorrow, you will deny that you ever knew me, and you'll do it 3 times, not just once." Again, Peter's response was, "No way." So said the other disciples. But by sunrise, all of them, including Peter, had done what Jesus said they would do. The Bible tells us that after Peter's 3rd denial, he looked up to see Jesus looking at him. The look of disappointment on Jesus' face was more than Peter could stand. The Bible tells us that he went out into the darkness, found a place where he could be alone, and wept until he had no more tears to shed. He was more disappointed with himself than Jesus was with him. But something happened to him that night, something that radically changed his life and ensured that he would never deny his Lord again. That was very evident in an event that happened one morning after Jesus' resurrection, when he met his disciples on the shore of the Sea of Galilee after they had spent the night fishing. Jesus gave Peter 3 chances to declare his love for and loyalty to his master. This time there was no denial, nor would there be for the rest of Peter's life. The most important lesson we can learn from this story is that if we try to please others, including God, in our own strength, using our own knowledge and whatever wisdom we have gained over the years, we will fail just as Peter did. Was Jesus disappointed with Peter's denial? Of course. But was Jesus surprised? Not at all. He knew how frail and impulsive Peter was. Those qualities had been revealed on many previous occasions. But Jesus knew something else. Peter would soon receive a gift from heaven that would turn him into a loyal and powerful defender of the faith. That gift, the gift of the Holy Spirit, came on the day of Pentecost, and with the Spirit's power filling and controlling him, Peter went back to the temple in Jerusalem, close to the place where he had denied his Lord, and powerfully proclaimed that Jesus was alive and would grant forgiveness of sin and the power of the Spirit to all who believe in him. God's Spirit lives within all who believe in Jesus Christ. He can do for us what he did for Simon Peter. All we must do is give the Spirit permission to work in us and through us to help change the lives of others. Then get ready for miracles are about to happen. Oops, sorry. And thumbs up, thumbs down, and they're all thumbs up this week. The Neepawa Legion Ladies Auxiliary would like to extend a huge thumbs up and thank you to all those who supported our March 21st Meat Draw Supper fundraiser, including High Life and the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op. Also, thumbs up to all those from the Neepawan area who came out to support our fundraiser meal. The evening was truly a success. We raised enough funds to pay for our 2 Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute graduation scholarships, plus make a significant donation to university scholarships in the medical field awarded by the Provincial Legion Ladies. This evening was a huge success, and we could not have done it without all the support we received from the Neepawa Legion Ladies Auxiliary. And thumbs up and thank you to the municipality of Westlake Gladstone for clarifying the rumors regarding the water availability at the time of the recent fire, and for stressing the importance of the firefighters, also for clearing the recent snow so quickly around town and at the Plumas Hall. I understand that it is not always able to be done within a short time frame. It is important to be grateful for the people who have to make loads of decisions that lie within the municipality, and it is also important to contribute input from those decisions that need to be made. We are given the opportunities to offer insight and also ask questions to understand the reasons behind the actions. I am at fault for not doing these things. Thumbs up to the people that do. Remember, there is an upcoming RM meeting at the Plumas Seniors on April 9th. From Laura Lau. And a thumbs up and a huge thank you to the kind and thoughtful person who found and handed my keys into the 7-Eleven, from Viola Baraniak in Neepawa. And thumbs up to Mike Anderson, Performance Exhaust and Brake Services, Brian Headley and Preston Jarama, Neepawa Gladstone Co-op, and Drew, Piston Ring Neepawa, for their assistance at the beginning and during the height of the short but intense band of wet snow in Neepawa on March 27th. It was because of your patience, understanding, getting wet, and help I was able to safely drive to my out-of-town home on the more than crappy road conditions. In E. Libby Clark, formerly of the Old House ROV Park. Letters. This is from Jim Buer in Plumas. I am not against President Trump. Unlike most Canadians and many Americans, I am not against U.S. President Trump. During their election campaign, I hoped that he would win, and when he did, I cheered loudly. The steps he is taking to clean up some of the government abuse, corruption, theft, and pilfering are 50 years late in coming, but thankfully he has the courage to tackle the mess now, and I wish him the very best in that endeavor. Of course, the government parasites that are being purged are being very vocal about it all. Screaming, hollering, and protesting is likely the nearest thing to work that they have been exposed to in the last 40 years. I am not even twisted out of shape over tariffs on Canadian goods. After all, the Americans pay the tariffs. Who are we to tell Mr. Trump where and how much to steal from his own people? I am not even offended at the suggestion that we become the 51st state. There would be many benefits to the average Canadian. This is especially so given our consistent 60-year record of electing left-wing lunatic morons to lead our country deeper and deeper into destruction. Canada will never have a leader with the courage to tackle and clean up our own terrible government mess. There is, however, one area that I must challenge, and that is Mr. Trump's constant assertion that the United States supports Canada with a $200 billion annual subsidy. This statement is a total crock. Either it stems from very misleading information he believes, or it is an intentional effort to deceive. In any case, it is a lie. Since our trade surplus is mostly oil, and since we supply a higher quality crude oil at a discounted price, the case could easily be made that we subsidize them. My wife and I had planned to drive from Manitoba to Chihuahua, Mexico this winter. Of course, that would meant a trip through the United States from north to south and back again. Normally, we would have enjoyed the drive. However, we canceled. We had two major reasons for canceling. First, why spend money to support the enemy just because we once were friends? Second, our Canadian license plate might well be our rolling death warrant, invitation enough for some armed redneck to blow us away in cold blood to help his president deal with the Canadian problem. This is not so far-fetched given the constant Canada bashing from the highest office of their land, and considering that they shoot and kill each other about 150 times every single day. If we could ever unload our own stifling government over regulation and turn an entrepreneurial spirit loose, we wouldn't be so dependent on the USA's business. Canadians would be the wealthiest of all citizens, given our vast resources, our low population, and our enterprising nature. There are profitable opportunities beyond the USA. Should we live to turn our entrepreneurs loose, they would create wealth on a scale none of us can now fathom. Then we would have to build a wall on our southern border to keep Americans from flooding across. Meanwhile, I have come to the conclusion that we will ultimately have only two choices with the United States of Donald Trump. Choice number one is to negotiate a peaceful transition into the 51st state, go for the best deal we can get, and then proceed with lower taxes, less government, and greater prosperity. Who knows, we might even like it. Choice number two is to become the 51st state after we have been bombed to bits and converted into another version of Ukraine. On this note, it would go much better for us if we would ever get our own politicians to clam up instead of verbally running off with their indignation. Again, from Jim Buer of Plumas, Manitoba. And the four aspects of self, your listening ear from Delcy Martin. There are four aspects of self: the mental self, the physical self, the emotional self, and the spiritual self. These parts of you work together to create the fantastic human being that is you. We do things in our lives that nourish those aspects of self, and we also neglect these aspects of self. When these parts are in balance, we are feeding them equally. We feel stable and secure, but if one of those parts falls out of balance, then we feel a sense of discomfort. When things are way out of balance, this can cause significant mental health challenges. Let's visit each of these aspects of self and talk about how we nourish them. The mental self is that part of you that is curious about your world. Feeding your mental self is about feeding your brain. Ask yourself, do I read books that generally interest me? Do I like to watch documentaries? Am I interested in and stimulated by my career? Students feed their mental selves each day that they are studying. Anyone who considers themselves to be lifelong learners are likely feeding their mental selves in one way or another. Nourishing your mental self is also about taking time off from thinking. Do you have those moments in your day when you can genuinely quiet down that brain? The physical self is the part of you that is grounded in this world. It is made up of a couple of components. First is your physical body itself. Ask yourself, do I regularly follow up with the doctor? Do I take my medications as prescribed? Am I doing daily body movement? And do I eat well? The physical self is also about the location of your physical body. Do you feel safe in your home? Do you have enough space? And do you like your community? The emotional self is the part of you that is all about connection. Connection to other people, connection to animals, and connection to yourself. Feeding your emotional self looks like regular phone calls with your bestie, going out for lunch with your mom, texting a friend or compliment, or taking yourself on a date. Ask yourself, do I feel like my relationships feed my soul? Am I happy with the level of connection I have with my loved ones? And are my emotional needs being met right now? Animals are wonderful connectors. If you feel like your emotional self is lacking, grab your nearest furry friend for a hug. The spiritual self is the part of you that is connected to something bigger. Feeding your spiritual self can be done through religion, by attending ceremony, prayer, and devoting yourself to something bigger than yourself. Nourishing your spiritual self can also be done through self-reflection and honoring your spiritual self in the ways that are unique to you. Don't be afraid to explore this side of you by reading books and listening to podcasts that align with your own personal beliefs. Don't know what your beliefs are? Explore. Attend some ceremonies or try out a few churches. Church not for you? No problem. Do your own study through reading literature, watching documentaries, and talking to your elders. Ask yourself, do I believe in life after death? What are my beliefs about the soul? And what spiritual beliefs are absolutely not for me? Here's an exercise to try at home. Draw a circle and divide it into 4 quadrants. Each quadrant represents an aspect of self. Fill in the quadrants with the things you do to feed each aspect of self. Ask yourself, are there an equal number of items feeding each aspect of self? Am I truly in balance? Which aspect of self am I neglecting? Which am I feeding well? And how can I begin to address the aspect of self I am neglecting right now? Excuse me. And Corey Ford, Neepawa's newest travel agent vacation planner by Ken Waddell. After recently completing her training and certifications for her new career, Corey Ford has taken her love for travel one step further by turning it into her livelihood. The company Ford is working for, Timeless Tales Travel, specializes in both Disney and Universal travel. The firm must have filled her with a warm and fuzzy feeling, even more so because they offered her the job contingent upon passing her TICO certification exam. Ford's 3-month work experience with Timeless Tales Travel has been a dream come true, with the added bonuses of meeting travel enthusiasts, heading to interesting places, learning new things, and earning various certifications: Disney, Royal Caribbean Master of Adventures, Globus Family of Brands, and of Avalon Waterways, and WestJet and Sunwing Vacations, Exotica, to name a few. Ford will be traveling to Los Angeles this month, where she will be exploring and learning more about the area's destinations. Later in May, she will go to Orlando with her boss and a co-worker from Ontario, where they will be touring every Disney resort property with a few side trips for fun to the parks. Ford can be contacted at corey@timelesstalestravel.com. And a birthday celebration rally held in Neepawa for former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. Supporters of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte rallied on Saturday, March 29th, in Neepawa to celebrate his 80th birthday and protest against his current detention in The Hague. Duterte is currently being held due to charges related to his war on drugs campaign. While in power, Duterte's government had a zero-tolerance policy on illegal drugs, and his crackdown is believed to have killed more than 6,000 people. The polarizing former leader is extremely beloved and at the same time loathed by many Filipinos for his hardline stance on drug crime and aggressive actions to deter it. That's quite a crowd pictured. And Neepawa received surprise funding for new road construction by Owen Devereaux. The town of Neepawa recently received a slightly surprising but greatly appreciated check in the mail. Late last month, the Minister for Municipal and Northern Relations, Glenn Samard, contacted the town. In his letter, the minister informed the community that it will receive an additional $2 million in provincial funding related to assisting with the creation of new roads. I am pleased to inform you that your municipality has been approved to receive a funding contribution of up to $2 million for the road network for the new regional hospital and development of land project under the Manitoba Growth, Renewal and Opportunities for Municipalities program, stated Samard within the document. The additional support will take some of the burden off of the town of Neepawa directly, as several $1 million was being set aside to cover the cost of this project. Neepawa Mayor Brian Headley said this additional and to a degree unexpected support is appreciated. The additional funding is going to be a huge help for us with the hospital and the costs associated around us. This is going to make a big difference, said Headley. As for where the funding will be spent, it is expected to go towards the portion of road to be built leading from Highway 16 to the planned roundabout and from the industrial park through to the extension of Broadway Avenue. And Economic Development Brandon pitches nominee program, new immigration initiative being researched for Neepawa by Casper Waran. And pictured Samuel Solomon of Economic Development Brandon explained the ins and outs of the Brandon, Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program Immigration Initiative at a meeting held in Neepawa on March 26th. The beautiful Plains County Court building, located in Neepawa, was the scene for a unique presentation on March 26. That evening, Economic Development Brandon representatives Samuel Solomon, Immigration and Workforce Development Special, Gerald Cathcart, Economic Development Director, and Deb Day, Economic Development Assistant, visited the community to showcase the Brandon, Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program Immigration Initiative, BMPNPII. The presentation made by Solomon served as an introduction to the BMPNPII and as an initial interest check for a potential partnership with Neepawa. According to the information presented, BMPNPII can connect employers with foreign workers for hard-to-fill jobs positions. Its applications are also applicable to individuals with temporary residency who are already living and working within the community. There is a potential to help Neepawa businesses who are having difficulty finding the skilled employees they need, said Neepawa Economic Development Officer Marilyn Crew, who was in attendance that evening. This program also provides employer support for current employees with temporary residency status in their journey to permanent residency. The program may also potentially be of use to those developing a business succession plan. Solomon noted that for the job positions a business wishes to fill through this program, there must be proof that it has been hard to fill, or for the sale of a business, proof that the business has not been able to be sold to someone in Canada. Language proficiency and other relevant considerations also apply to the immigrant individual with temporary residency. We have had a very positive response during the pilot period for the initiative, said Solomon, adding later, the intention is also to find people who are looking to stay in the community. This is integral to the program as the goal is to bolster communities. Crew commented on the early response from those in attendance, stating, I think there is interest in more information. Samuel provided great details on how the program works, so the businesses consider how that fits with their human resources planning. Further insight must be gained before Neepawa commits to a partnership with the initiative. Neepawa's economic development is going to conduct research locally on hard-to-hire positions, as well as local business demand for the BMPNPII program. If your business is having challenges in filling skilled positions, please let me know, said Crew. If any businesses were unable to attend the meeting, they are encouraged to reach out to Crew at the Neepawa Town Office for more information on the BMPNPII. And Charolais bulls strapped their stuff at Neepawa and pictured a large group of Charolais bulls at the Neepawa Prairie Distinction Bull Sale on March 27th at Stride Exhibition Grounds at Neepawa by Ken Waddell. The 11th annual Prairie Distinction Bull Sale was held at the Stride Exhibition Grounds at Neepawa on March 25th. Approximately 40 bulls passed by the auctioneer's hammer. The 12 two-year-old bulls brought $95,500 for an average of $7,958. 28 two-third yearling bulls brought $22,250 for an average of $7,753. Bulls sold to 5 provinces, and the top-selling bull brought $13,500. Consigners included R&G McDonald Livestock, Sydney, Hidden Lake Stock Farm, Carberry, Crocus Valley Farms Limited, Killarney, J&B Charolais, Brookdale, North of 50 Charolais, McCreary, and Johnston Charolais from Treeherne. The first 2 items on the auction block were donated items from Kalbaki Ag Supply and Innovative Veterinary Services, sold on behalf of the Manitoba Junior Charolais Association. And NAISS proposes collaboration with churches to enhance newcomer integration by Joshua Jackson. The Neepawa Area Immigration Settlement Services, NAISS, is embarking on a new partnership with the Calvary Chapel Church. The NAISS recently released a document outlining a proposal calling for strengthening its collaboration between NAISS and churches by facilitating the exchange of information and resources. The proposed collaboration calls for churches and NAISS to work together to ensure that the support available to newcomers is well communicated and accessible. The settlement service would provide church leaders with the updated information about settlement services, including language courses, job opportunities, housing programs, and other local resources. This vital information would be shared through church bulletins, newsletters, and special outreach efforts to ensure no one in need is left behind. A collaboration like this allows our church to serve our community more fully and foster meaningful relationships with our neighbors, says Calvary Chapel Pastor James Anderson. This proposal also calls on NAISS and churches, such as Calvary Chapel, to develop joint efforts or initiatives that foster cultural exchange, integration, and community building, including cultural celebration events, workshops, potlucks, and social gatherings. We plan to collaborate with other faith organizations and community groups to host events or programs that promote understanding and cooperation, help newcomers and residents get together, encourage them to socialize, which makes them feel like a part of the community, said Neepawa Area Immigration Settlement Services Executive Director Ilse Pineda. Pineda added that the organization is happy to collaborate with Pastor James, as they believe he is a good leader and very supportive of the community. I hope the community and newcomers see that NAISS strives to support new immigrants with spiritual guidance, activities, and information so they can better integrate into this community, she said. Collaboration with churches is important, as new immigrants look for a church where they can connect with their Creator and feel supported. Through collaborating with churches, NAISS believes by working together, churches and settlement services can promote a sense of belonging and inclusion for newcomers while enriching the local community. Both the church community and NAISS share values of compassion, support, and building a stronger, more inclusive society. The NAISS hopes to partner with even more churches in Neepawa, Gladstone, and Plumas. And St. Rose de Lac RCMP cleared of wrongdoing following IIU investigation by the Banner staff. The Independent Investigation Unit of Manitoba, IIU, has concluded an investigation of a 2023 incident near St. Rose de Lac and has absolved the RCMP of any wrongdoing. The IIU press release that alleged that on January 6, 2023, RCMP had notified the IIU of an incident. According to the notification, at approximately 10 a.m. on December 30th, 2022, officers received a call for service regarding a home invasion and stolen vehicle in Rorton. Soon after, officers located a vehicle in the ditch on Provincial Road 481, south of Crane River. 4 individuals were attempting to dig out the vehicle. Officers approached them and informed them they were under arrest. 3 remained at the scene, while the 4th suspect, an adult male, fled into the woods. The report says officers transported the 3 individuals to the St. Rose de Lac detachment for processing. Due to insufficient resources, officers did not return to the scene to search for the male, and officers believe he may have gone to a nearby residence or been picked up by a vehicle. On January 4th, 2023, RCMP received a missing persons report for the male and attempted to locate him. At approximately 8:30 p.m. on January 5th, 2023, officers searched the woods where the male was last seen and located his body. The IIU assumed responsibility for the investigation and was assigned to investigate. 2 subject officers and 6 witness officers were designated. Investigators also obtained statements from 3 civilian witnesses. A post-mortem exam on the man determined the cause of death was hypothermia. The toxicology reports also showed alcohol levels that correspond to heavy drunkenness, confusion, and grossly impaired coordination, as well as methamphetamine levels that could cause confusion, anxiety, and hallucinations. The release noted after due consideration of all circumstances, including the Crown opinion, the standard for prosecuting charges had not been met, and the civilian director will not be authorizing charges. And an outline of the 2025 Canadian federal election in the Riding Mountain District. The 2025 Canadian federal election will be held on April 28th to elect members of the House of Commons to the 45th Canadian Parliament. The writs of election were issued on March 23rd after Governor-General Mary Simon accepted a request to dissolve Parliament from Prime Minister Mark Carney. This will be the first election to use a new 343-seat electoral map based on the 2021 Canadian census. As of the publication deadline, these are the listed candidates for Riding Mountain. The deadline for candidates to declare is April 7th at 2 p.m. For the NDP of Canada or any other national party planning to run in the Riding Mountain district that had not yet declared. When those candidates are confirmed, in the interest of fairness, we will publish similar profiles of those individuals. An introduction to the Riding Mountain District. The Riding Mountain District is a federal electoral riding formerly known as Dauphin Swan River Neepawa. The new name was drafted during the last federal ridings redistribution process in 2022 and officially comes into effect as of this election. Riding Mountain's area includes 51,479 square kilometers and a population total of 90,962. The number of eligible electors is 64,523, with a 61% voter turnout in the previous election. Some of the most notable communities within the Riding Mountain include Swan River, Dauphin, Russell, Roblem, St. Rose de Lac, Neepawa, Minnedosa, and Rivers. It also features North Norfolk, West Lake Gladstone, and North Cypress Langford. Election day is scheduled for Monday, April 28, 2025, with advance voting taking place on Friday, April 18th, Saturday, April 19th, Sunday, April 20th, and Monday, April 21st. The electoral district number for Riding Mountain is 46007. And a brief outline of the candidates already declared. Conservative, Dan Mazur. On October 21st, 2019, Dan Mazur was elected to represent Dauphin Swan River Neepawa as Member of Parliament, and then re-elected on September 20th, 2021. In 2022, Pierre Poilievre appointed Mazur to his shadow cabinet as a shadow minister for rural economic development and connectivity. Away from politics, Mazur is most well known for serving as a president of Keystone Agricultural Producers, CAP. Additionally, he has also served his community as a school trustee for Rolling River School Division and as a board member for the Manitoba Sustainable Energy Association in the Assiniboine Conservation District. He also was a founding member of Elton Energy Cooperative, a provincial renewable energy initiative. Dan and his wife Lee farm grains, oilseeds, and specialty crops near Justice. Liberal Terry Hayward. Terry Hayward is a devoted community leader who has shown their deep passion and determination to make life better for families in Riding Mountain. Hayward enters this election with a 33-year career in agricultural work with the Government of Canada, living and working in places like Brandon, Regina, Winnipeg, and Ottawa. Hayward has also served as the Manitoba Election Readiness Chair for the Federal Liberals. Currently, he lives east of Winnipeg on a farm and is a substitute teacher at an elementary school in the Sunrise School Division. People's Party of Canada, Donnan McKenna. Donnan McKenna entered his election with a 30-year career with the RCMP, which includes provincial, national, and international experience in both frontline policing and command capacities. He's a crime reduction and family violence expert with experience dealing with government policy and system changes. His volunteer work includes several board positions and security operations. Donnan retired from the RCMP in 2019 as the officer in charge of the Grand Prairie RCMP, and he currently resides in the RM of Mountain with his wife and family. And the Green Party, but Liz Clayton. Liz Clayton has been involved with the Federal Green Party for many years, having served as the CAO of Portage Lisgar Green Party Association. As well, Clayton has experience in the not-for-profit sector with the Tiger Hills Art Association and campus and community radio at the University of Manitoba. Currently, Liz works for the Prairie Spirit School Division as a high school educational assistant. She also has experience in arts administration and spent many years in campus and community and commercial media. Clayton and her partner live in 31 acres of wild land on the edge of the Agassiz Escarpment in the newly annexed southeast corner of the Riding Mountain Riding, where they are passionate about their low-energy northern greenhouse where they grow fresh greens all winter. And on to sports. It just wasn't our time this time. Neepawa Titans bounce from MJHL postseason. And pictured a Blizzard player blocks the path to the puck for Neepawa's Colton Alexander, number 12, during Game 4. The game would go to overtime and see the Blizzard win 3-2. Northern Manitoba would then secure the series in the next game by a similar 3-2 score. by Owen Devereaux. Playoff hockey in Neepawa ended a little bit sooner than any of us had hoped for, as the Titans fell to the Northern Manitoba Blizzard 4-1. A combination of bad bounces, bad luck, and if we're being honest, bad officiating halted Neepawa's momentum and squashed hopes of home games in April. But despite the disappointment of the postseason, there is still a lot to be proud of, as the Titans collected the most regular season wins, 32, and points, 69, in almost 15 years. In a conversation with the Banner and Press earlier this week, Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson reflected on the series. He noted that with the exception of one, these matchups, every game was a close one. Pearson said there were a couple of occasions where the Northern Manitoba was able to take advantage of a fortunate bounce and turn it into a scoring opportunity, while Neepawa was unable to do the same. As well, Pearson credited the Blizzard in their swarming style of collective defense that didn't give the Titans much room to maneuver out there. Perhaps a turning point for the series was at Game 3, as there were several potential penalties, including at least 3 high-sticking incidents by the Blizzard that went uncalled. While those missed calls caused a frenzy in the stands, Pearson simply noted that you can't expect calls to save you. You can't dwell on any call that are or aren't made or get frustrated out there. It didn't change what we did. We just couldn't get good looks at the net, and their goaltender made some good saves. That could have turned things around, noted Pearson. As for games 4 and 5, those could have very easily gone in Neepawa's favor, but it simply wasn't to be, as they lost 1 in double overtime and fell just short in the paw. Despite the disappointment for the players could be feeling, however, Pearson stressed that they all should be very proud of their efforts out there this past season. And the Neepawa Curling Club Mixed Bonspiel results. The Neepawa Curling Club held its 2025 Mixed Bonspiel from March 21st to 23rd. Pictured here are the winners of each of the events, as well as a photo of the team that was declared best dressed. Results as follows. A event winner, Team Robertson, top left. B event winner, Team Jakubowski, left middle. C event winner, Team Paramore, left. D event winner, Team Ross, top right, and best dressed team, Team 80s Revival, above. And the Newdale Cribbage Tournament winners declared. The Newdale Cribbage Planning Committee hosted a cribbage tournament on Saturday, March 15th at the Newdale Hall. In total, around 64 people attended from throughout the region, including Newdale, Neepawa, Rapid City, Minnedosa, Brandon, Rivers, Rossburn, Shoal Lake, Strathclyde, Elphinstone, Basswood, Caldell, and on. Along with the cribbage tournament, there was also a delicious roast beef supper served. Players were very excited to see where they stood against the other 32 teams of players on the large scoreboard. Huge cash prizes were awarded for first, 500, second, 300, halfway highest score, 50, third place, 200, and last place, 50. The 50-50 draw raised $422 and was split with $211 going to the Harrison House Meals Program in Neepawa. The event was staged by a group of volunteers known as the Newdale Cribbage Planning Committee. This is our second tournament, with the first held back in November. That event had 40 players participate and was very well received. Word got out that this was the tournament to attend. An entire afternoon of fun, great prizes, a fantastic roast beef dinner, and socialization with people from up to 100 kilometers away. This time we had capped out at 64 players. The interest was so great we filled registration within 10 days of posting the event, 1 month prior to the event date of March 15th. Since this event was so successful, we will be hosting another tournament in the fall, and to continue to bring social gathering from all the region and awareness to our tiny community of Newdale, Manitoba. As for the results, first place was awarded to Diane Sandstrom and Cindy Ruppel of Minnedosa. Second place and the halfway hit score winners were Pat and Jim Montague of Rivers. Third was awarded to Larry McMurtry and Mitch Cuthbert of Shoal Lake. There was an event prize for last place, which went to an undisclosed recipient. The 50-50 draw of 422 was won by Justin Usiner of Rapid City and will be split with the Newdale Harrison House Meals Program. Congratulations to the winners, and thanks to everyone who attended and supported the event. Hunters and fishers share concerns at MWF Neepawa Town Hall by Joshua Jackson. Many local hunters and anglers attended the Manitoba Wildlife Federation, MWF, alongside the Neepawa District Wildlife Association town hall recording threats to licensed hunters and anglers. Over 50 concerned patrons filled the Neepawa Legion on March 26 to hear MWF Senior Scientific Advisor Rob Olson talk about provincial and federal government initiatives such as the Indigenous Protected and Conserved Areas, IPCAs, which the MWF believes will hamper access to hunting, trapping, and fishing for all. Many people were encouraged throughout the meeting, and Agassiz MLA Jody Byram and Riding Mountain MP Dan Mazur were on hand to learn more about the MWF's efforts. During the meeting, Olson shed light on how the MWF's Access for All campaign started after Grand Chief Garrison Setti's correspondence from Manitoba, I apologize, Kiwi Watanao Okanamakanak MKO proposal they advanced to the government to withdraw all licensed big game hunting tag allocations in northern Manitoba. Initially, it was about protecting hunting and fishing rights, said Olson. Now it has become way more than that. If you are a user of Crown lands, have a cottage on Crown land, if you're a snowmobiler or use any Crown land or public land kind, this affects you now, and it might affect your livelihood. It's way bigger than moose hunting. IPCAs are part of the 30-30 strategy developed by the Government of Canada as part of its goal to conserve 30% of Canada's land and water by 2030, run by Indigenous organizations. During his presentation, Olson said the theme of these town halls is nudging back. We're trying to find the middle and what's reasonable. We're not against Indigenous people, but we need reasonable decisions in the middle, and we think the pendulum's gone a little bit too far, he said. We respect and understand Indigenous rights. We understand the rights. We're not contesting their rights, but we believe that licensed hunters have rights too, and the right to be reasonable and respectful. A total of 9 IPCAs are slated for the province of Manitoba, including the ones closest to us, the Manitoba Mixed Grass Prairie Securement Program near Binsgarth, which will protect up to 27,000 hectares of undeveloped mixed grass prairie habitat adjacent to 3 community pastures, and the Fisher River Cree Nation IPCA into the Interlake, which could threaten cabin owners and hunters in that region. During the presentation, many people asked questions like how this affects Crown lands, how people can do more to raise this issue, and what a federal election means regarding ICPAs. Olson outlined during the meeting how the MWF has come a long way since the first meeting last year in Thompson. It's been one of the best things I've ever done in my career. It's been mind-boggling, and there have been many full rooms. The first meeting in Thompson was standing room only, and from there it just got better and better, he said. These meetings have connected us. We have a massive network of people following our e-news. Now we're getting great feedback from people, ideas, and many goals from these meetings. To end the meeting, the Neepawa Wildlife Association treasurer, Perry Snedden, presented the MWF with a $1,000 check for its Access for All campaigns. More information on the MWF's campaign can be found at https://mwf.mb.ca/. And a brand new sign installed at the Hallborough district. Pictured left, a view of the old sign showing its age. Pictured right, the new sign made by area resident Orv Grant, which has replaced the original sign by Wayne Hildebrand. Hallborough area resident Orv Grant recently installed a new sign recognizing the community of Hallborough, located on number 5 highway, about 8 kilometers, 5 miles south of Neepawa. The old sign was showing its age, so I decided to make a new one, Orv said. I built it in the same dimensions as the original sign and installed it over the old sign. I am told the old sign is the original CNR highway section line sign. The Hallborough district was a very active community from 1900 to 1970. The Canadian Northern Railway built a railroad from Hummerston to Hallborough in 1902. By 1909, the Hallborough-Beulah branch line was extended to the west. John Hall was an early settler for the district. He named the railway siding Hallborough. Driving by it today, it is hard to imagine that Hallborough had a railway station, a section house, stockyards, a railway weight scale, Harding's convenience store, a post office, Hallborough School, and 2 grain elevators. The CNR line was abandoned in 1975, and the tracks were removed in 1981. And Bye-Bye Barn. The Newton Barn, located near Neepawa, was believed to have been built in 1912. The farm was owned by Jim Sinclair and purchased in 1957 by the Newton family. The lumber and posts for the barn came from Ridey Mountain, Murray Newton said. We understand that the carpenter that built the barn hewed the timbers in the winter, and when the barn was raised in the summer, only one timber did not fit. The structure was all post and beam construction and was held together using 1-inch diameter wood pins. During this past winter, the barn was deassembled by a group of farmers who salvaged the reusable portions. Neepawa reported that it only took the crew about a day to take off the metal sheeting and bring down the post and beam structure. The metal was recycled and salvaged structural parts were hauled for home for future use. And Nadia Douglas to perform in Neepawa. The last concert of the 2024-2025 Kaleidoscope season is April 11th at 7:30 in Arts Forward in Neepawa. The last two concerts have sold out, and this one is expected to sell out as well. Nadia Douglas's rich, dramatic alto voice takes audiences on a journey through classic standards, swing jazz, Latin favorites, and beautiful ballads from the 1920s and beyond. This promises to be an intimate evening of music with Nadia and a trio of outstanding musicians on stage. With her keen rhythmic intuition and actress' insight into the fraught poetry of a great lyric, Douglas breathes new life into every song she performs. Nadia's music will rekindle the fascination, enchantment, and magic that most memorial songs of a lifetime hold for all of us. Get your tickets early to avoid disappointment and save money. Advance tickets are $20 for adults and may be purchased at Arts Forwards or online at Eventbrite. If the event is not sold out, tickets will be available at the door. This event is made possible by the general sponsorship of Rob Smith and Swell and Son, as well as a grant from Manitoba Arts Council. And the Gladstone Auction Mart report for April 1st from Tyler Slowinski. Mother Nature says spring isn't here just yet, as we got another sprinkling of snow across parts of the prairies. Although bull sales, newborn calves, and longer days speak differently. The cattle futures have been steady to slightly stronger the last few trading days, yet the market is higher in a few spots and slightly lower in others, due to another concern on what kind of tariffs we may see implemented over the next day or two. Supply and demand is definitely holding the bottom of this cattle market in place. Today's market didn't seem to matter whether the cattle were heavier or lighter. Supply and demand either softened certain weight breaks or drove them higher. As fewer numbers of cattle trade, we start to see shortages in the market, driving up the prices in certain areas of the market. The market traded with mixed feelings, I thought today, as it was stronger in some spots and softer in others. Cattle that will be fit for grass or breeding are selling very strong. We saw a very impressive set of cattle today and of good quality. First cut cattle are selling strong. There are still a few around. Most of the feeder cattle sold very strong throughout today's market. Second and third cut cattle are definitely seeing big discounts. If they don't fit the orders, they are soon sorted from the packages. The cattle are still in demand, and I expect to see supply start to run short as we get closer to spring and sending cattle to grass. We sold 509 head of cattle through the ring in Gladstone, Manitoba yesterday. Cows and bulls sold with slightly lower averages due to tariff uncertainty once again. Feeding type cows and heiferettes are still selling stronger than yielding cows. Yielding cows still traded from 178 to 195, looking like strong demands. As for once, we didn't see a whole pile this week. Feeding type cows are ranging from 195 to 200. Bulls traded slightly stronger, ranging between 220 to 240. Some highlights from the sale: black steers weighed 445, traded for a nice 615 per pound. Red steers weighed 538 and traded for 540. Fancy crossbred steers weighed 618 and brought 495. Crossbred steers weighed 726 pounds and they hit 426. Black-sided steers weighed 835 and they checked out at 396. Heifers, black heifers, weighed 440 and traded for 531. A ringful of black heifers weighed 570 and made 438. Buckskin heifers weighed 665 and traded for 406. Last but not least, a heavy set of red 865-pound heifers sold for 348. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how the market played out. Cattle producers, if you have cattle to market, give us a call to book your marketing spot. And the 4-H beef at RMWF. The Neepawa Area 4-H Beef Club was well represented at the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair, courtesy of the individuals pictured here. With big smiles and their banner in hand, they were in attendance to take part in the 4-H parade. The individuals seen here are Cooper, Oakland, Avery, jury, Rachel Medell and Ava Radish. And the 4-H area communication winners. The 4-H area communication event was held in Hami-Oda on Friday, March 28th. Pictured here are the winners for the speech-based event. Congratulations. Pictured from left to right are Aspen Emerson, Clover Bud Speech, Sadie Sawchuk, Junior Speech, and Quinn Sawchuk, Senior Speech. And last but not least, we have our kids scoop. Tiny and cute chameleon cuties, frogs, lemurs, antelope, all sorts of animals and word searches and opinion pages and things for kids to do. And that concludes the reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press for Friday, April 4th, 2025. I hope you enjoyed.